Society to do our welcome remarks. We have today with us Ms. Gerda Casing from Germany. She is the Vice Chair of Community for the Indonesian Heritage Society. She is herself also a volunteer Heritage Society guide at the National Museum, and she has a great passion for ceramics. So very appropriate for her to be the one doing the welcome.
The beautiful art and culture of Indonesia. So we are naturally dedicated to support the efforts of curious to hear about the background story of two very different techniques and their distinctive development and distinctive style, and how they evolved over the time, incorporating the influence of the Javanese culture. As you know, pottery has a very long history in Indonesia, and after all, it can be traced back to about 2,500 years BC. Part of this can, of course, be followed up at the National Museum in Jakarta, and our volunteer guides are happy to accompany you there on a free tour. Well, when archaeologists start digging, often it is the fragment of a ceramics, hundreds, sometimes thousands of years old, which give a clue of the long forgotten days. A few single shards can tell the story of an era. Until today, when we look at a piece of ceramic, it embodies the skills and the knowledge of the craft person who has accumulated this throughout decades and years. In Indonesia, it demonstrates also the wealth of a rich, diverse cultural product. For me, ceramic always have a special life of their own. Usually they smell, and just touching them can trigger great feelings, no matter glazed or unglazed, young or old. Well, here today we cannot smell or feel, but I'm sure we will have or go on a wonderful journey to explore and to learn about the matter of unique Javanese ceramics. Have fun and enjoy.
Thank you, Ms. Gerda, for that very, very appropriate and interesting introduction. We take it then from there. We ask Nia Fliam, one of the founders of Meet the Makers, a batik artist based in Yogyakarta, to provide us a little bit more of information behind this webinar series, and then we'll share some house rules for the webinar.
Good afternoon. Thank you to everyone for joining Meet the Makers Kaleidoscope Changing Patterns webinar series. Thank you to the Indonesian Heritage Society in joining us in this initiative to support the continuing traditions of Indonesian culture, particularly in the field of craft as art. The global pandemic has made annual fairs of Meet the Makers impossible for this year, and many artisans are struggling because of the impacts this has had on their craft. We hope that with these webinars, we can contribute to the lives and the livelihoods of our partner artisans by continuing to honor their work through these talks. Please know that 100% of your contributions will go directly to the artisans themselves. We hope you enjoy the webinar today. As this is only our 4th webinar, we are still learning and making improvements for the next sessions. Please bear with us.
And now I take this time to introduce our moderator, Mr. Yugie Kartaatmaja. He's also a ceramic artist himself, graduating from the Bandung Institute of Technology, majoring in ceramic art. But his history has taken him not really on a path of the skill and the end product of pottery, but more in pursuing his love of art and his love of bringing people together. He has gone from different professions, ranging from being an announcer, a graphic designer, art director, and teacher. Finally, in soul searching, he has found that there's many values in ceramics to explore, and he created a platform to share information about Indonesian ceramic scene called Untuk Keramik. And here he does his best in connecting everyone, individuals together or directly or indirectly. And that will be his role today as our moderator, linking us up with the speakers and our participants in the question and answer portion. So I give the floor to you, Mas Yugie.
Yes.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay, thank you very much for Miss Chrissy. What a great introduction. Okay, so again, thank you and welcome to Meet the Makers Kaleidoscope Webinar Series 4 in collaboration with Indonesian Heritage Society. And today we are going to discuss about ceramic in Java along with the stories of the techniques. Today we are going to have two speakers. The first one, we also have two presentations and we will be showing 4 short videos. Okay, the first one is going to be Bregas Harrimardoyo. He is a ceramic artist of Pekunden Pottery in Jakarta. The technique that he will explain is sgraffito. And the second one is Suharno. He's a ceramic artist from Sanggar Lebah in Pagerjurang Ceramic Village, Klaten, Central Java. And he will be explaining about the slanted wheel throwing technique. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to welcome Mas Bregas. But before that, I'm going to tell you that Mas Bregas will conduct the presentation in English and Suharno will conduct the presentation in Bahasa Indonesia. Before we go to Mas Bregas, we will play a short video introduction of Mas Bregas Harrimardoyo. Here you go.
Saya Bregas. Saya mulai belajar bikin keramik dari ayah saya kira-kira berusia 7 tahun. Atau lebih tepatnya baru mulai masuk sekolah dasar. Sekarang apa yang saya kerjakan adalah segala sesuatu tentang pembuatan keramik. Mulai dari mencari bahan baku, mencari tanah liat, mencari mineral dari alam Indonesia, membuat glasir sendiri, menciptakan glasir sendiri, menciptakan alat-alat dan alat bantu, sampai bangun tungku sendiri. Teknik yang saya pakai buat dekorasi keramik saya adalah saya menorehkan corak ke atas underglaze. Corak yang saya torehkan, corak-corak Indonesia, corak-corak tradisional yang terkadang saya kembangkan menjadi corak kontemporer. Keramik yang saya bikin sangat luas, mulai dari fungsional, barang-barang fungsional seperti tableware, lampu, kemudian barang-barang hias seperti lampu, vas, dan lain-lain. Dan darah seni yang menurun ke saya dari keluarga saya di Jawa Tengah itu sangat terlihat sekali di setiap hasil karya saya.
Thank you very much for the video introduction and welcome for everybody who's joining the webinar. My name is Bregas Harrimardoyo. I'm going to start the presentation while giving you some brief information about the techniques that Pekunden Pottery. Okay, so I'm a second generation of ceramic artist in Pekunden Pottery. So my father established this studio ceramic in 1987. It was somewhere when I was somewhere around 5 years old. And on the first year, when my father start his studio, ceramic studio, he explores a lot of different techniques. So Pekunden Pottery are very strong, have a very strong character and strong signature style. So we are taken from Indonesian ceramic, Indonesian designs, taken from batiks and other fabric designs. So this page shows the character of Pekunden Pottery. And then, as I mentioned before, in the early 1990s, my father tried different kind of techniques, from building techniques like hand thrown, slabs, coils, even hand builds, and then different decorating techniques like double dip glaze, exploring for ash glazes and glaze resist as a decorative techniques. So I will show you what kind of work that he do in the early years, somewhere around 1990s. For example, like this piece here, this piece is individually hand thrown, and then he will cut the surface into octagonal shape because he likes to explore different shapes rather than the normal round ceramic shape. And then in this piece, he will put different types of glazes like the ash glaze on the top, and then different kinds of glaze underneath the piece of the body of the ceramics. And then on this page also, he will continue different shapes, mostly octagonal shapes, and then combining with different colors, different glazes, and some animal shapes like the shrimp as a lid, and then a dragonfly as a handle, things like that. But for him, it's too plain. So the character is not there yet because it's a very common techniques, glazes in pottery world. And then he came out how to apply Indonesian pattern into a piece of ceramics. So in this part, he tried to do the batik ceramic, the batik techniques using wax as a glaze resist. So he will apply the wax as a glaze resist with a chanting, exactly like the one that we do on batik, but of and then the wax is the glaze when we dip into the glaze to sip into the clay. So this is the final result of the techniques, but it's too difficult to do on a daily based production. So he keeps on searching on different techniques, how to apply Indonesian pattern uh, to be able to continue Indonesian pattern as a part of the ceramic style. And then somewhere around 1995, he discovered a technique called sgraffito. So this technique is basically a wall decor techniques in Europe. It's an ancient technique to decorate a wall with different layers of plasters or paints, and then the designer will carve out the top layer to expose the underneath layer. But the same technique also famous in pottery world. So he tried to develop these techniques as a part of our style, the Pekunden pottery style. So from there, 1995, all the way until now, this part is have been a part of Pekunden pottery style. And this is a sample pattern of what we do in sgraffito. On the left there, the stripes pattern are mostly taken from the background or latar of a batik fabrics. So if you see a batik pattern, sometimes you will find a background pattern, which is mostly just like a stripes or a simple pattern that if we blow up the pattern, it will create a modern minimalist pattern like the one on the cups on the left. And then on the right, That's the kawung pattern. So this is a very, very playful pattern, yet some people said it's very, very traditional, but at some point, it looks the same time a modern pattern. So you can play with positive, negative parts here, which one to carve out, which one to leave behind. As you see on the pattern, there are two different openings. So on the outer part of the plate, I carve out the inner part of the design, and on the middle, I carve out the outer part of the design or the kawung pattern. So this is another sample of a much more detailed pattern. Here I did the same part. So they are the latar, the background pattern, which is the stripes. And then the main pattern is the leaves and the flowers. So a lot of time, this is a one-off piece, one-off bigger piece. So a lot of time happens is when I do a piece of ceramic like this, I upload them on my Instagram, Pekunden Pottery, and some of my customers already said that I want that piece when it's done. So a lot of time, some of my pieces are already sold, even it's not finished yet, even if it's not fired yet. So there is no limitation on patterns. So the designs are very, very unlimited. There's no boundaries here, but mostly we take our patterns from things that I saw or I developed from Indonesian patterns. So the stripes pattern, if we do different carvings, the result is like the one that you see on your screen now. It's basically a stripe patterns, but if you randomly open the patterns, it will create like a very, very dynamic stripes pattern. And then in 2018, I have a lot of links to international school, and one of the links are very, very strong to Jakarta Intercultural School. Some of the teachers at JIS invite me to be a visiting artist to introduce the sgraffito techniques to kids. It was start in 2018, so that's our pilot project. And until now, basically, I'm still a regular visiting artist at Jakarta Intercultural School, both in elementary school and middle school. So the one that you see here is the one that I do for the first elementary school experience working with the kids. And it's a very, very challenging yet fun experience. And so that's with the kids. So they do play a lot with clay, but they never learn about something how to decorate a piece of pottery. So here I introduced them with sgraffito techniques, and they never had enough. So they always want some more time, and always asking for more time. And even the teachers are very, very surprised about how calm the kids when they try to do the techniques. A lot of people said that this gravito techniques is a very, very calmful techniques. It's very peaceful. You can it absorb your concentration fully on the piece of the ceramics that you do. So it creates calmness, and it's like almost like a therapy for your emotional, for your inner emotional spirit. So this is how calm they are, how focused they are. Some of the kids are doing their design very, very detailed, very carefully. Uh, doesn't think about the outside world. They just focus on what they're doing, and the result are very, very impressive. And you can see that there are a lot of different patterns, and sometimes they will have to practice on how the pressure on the tools are applied during the sgraffito techniques. As you can see, the one on the bottom left is a deeper carving, but it creates different depth of carving. So it creates like a three-dimensional design, which is very, very good. Another type of finish. A lot of them starts to carve out the clay. It's a practice, yet for them experiencing different strokes, different techniques at the same time. So yes, for them, it is a very, very a challenging yet a fun experience. So this technique with the elementary school being a part of ends up being a part of their year-end book in 2017, 2018. So the whole book, the whole design of the year-end book are taken from the project that I do with the school. And this is the cover of the book. And from there, I received a lot of requests from parents, teachers, and staff of the school to do something similar with the kids, but much more advanced. So it started with it's all happened here on my pottery studio. It started with a studio tour and ends up with a sgraffito workshop. So here they will do a set of tablewares. So I provide them a greenware, a non-fired piece, which is consist of a plate, a bowl, and a cup. So they will be able to explore the sgraffito techniques on different surfaces. For example, on a piece of plate, they will do the sgraffito on a flat surface. And then on a piece of cups, they will do the sgraffito techniques on a vertical surface. And on a piece of bowl, they will do the sgraffito on a rounded surface, which is much more challenging. And this kind of workshop will take minimum of 3 hours and all the way to 6 hours, because once you start the workshop, it is very, very difficult to stop. So I've been doing this for many times, mostly our groups, in groups of teachers, parents, or staffs, or all the way to 30% for one workshop. So this is another project, ongoing project, basically. This is kind of my milestone project, is to do decorative tiles on both sides of a theater entrance. So the tiles gonna be 15 by 15 centimeter tiles, individually hand drawn, with the design that my clients asked me to do. And it's gonna be a very, very challenging project, yet a milestone project for me. But this projects got postponed because of the pandemic. And hopefully we'll be able to continue after all situation are much better than now. In 2019, I got a chance to bring the sgraffito techniques, which is a part of our style, to India. So we got invited by an NGO called Daskarihat Samiti in India. It's the event called Indonesia India Craft Skill Exchange Program. So here I work together with an Indian artist. He masters in wheel-thrown pottery, and I masters in sgraffito technique. So as you see on the screen, it's all the steps of the workshop that we do, start from ideas and then developing designs, developing techniques, all the way to the execution of the final project. So the end result is a series of products combining my techniques and the wheel-thrown Indian techniques on Indian terracotta clay. So this is what we do there in India. So it's basically a terracotta clay combined with white engobe or slip that we develop there. And then we develop different patterns, Indian patterns mixed with Indonesian patterns. One of the samples are on the one on the right. It's an ancient traditional Mughal pattern from India that shows Indian daily life. So if you can see, the pattern are people like hunting, and then sometimes you will see kids playing kites, things like that. And this part here, this part, piece of tiles or piece of plates here, it's a mixed combination of two different patterns. We use the Kawung pattern as a background and the Indian elephant as the main pattern. So this is me doing the sgraffito techniques, while my partner in India, his name is Harikishan, is a master in wheel-thrown pottery, watching me doing the sgraffito techniques, and then he will do to try the same techniques. And he said that it's a very, very time-consuming technique, very focused techniques, yet very detailed, that provides a totally different result to his pottery. So that's all. This is Pekunden Pottery style ceramics. I don't have any signature of or stamps of Pekunden Pottery on my ceramics, but the whole design of the ceramics already tells that it is Pekunden Pottery. So if you see this kind of pottery out there, you will be able to tell that it's Pekunden Pottery. Thank you. That's all for my presentation. And now off to Yugie. Will introduce a little bit story about Pak Harno. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. That was an interesting story and techniques. Again, everyone, the next one, we are going to have a presentation from Pak Suharno. He will be speaking in Bahasa. I'm going to remind you that if you want to listen in English, please change your channel into English. And the Spanish one is for Bahasa. And again, this is Paharno, an artist, ceramic artist from Sanggar Lebah in Pagerjurang Ceramic Village. He will be presenting about slanted wheel thrown technique. And again, before we start, we are going to show you a bit of short videos about the technique and Paharno itself.
Iya, terima kasih. Selamat sore semuanya. Budaya tersebut disebut dengan budaya
The culture that I will share about is the tilted.
Yang terlihat tadi duduk dalam posisi miring, serong ke kiri sekitar 40 sampai 45 derajat.
Because of several reasons. One is that the legs of the person are positioned obliquely at an angle to the side of 40 to 45 degrees. This is with the female artisan practice that use batik skirt or cloth. And to be modest, the legs are to one side. This is also the same as the cultural dancers, that they don't raise their hands so high, only at about a 40 to 45 degrees. And we have applied this as well with the tilted pottery wheel. This is also because we haven't found a technology to place this technique in an upright position. But with this tilted position, artisans also receive some benefit, because the arm and the elbow are not at a 90 degrees angle, making it more comfortable for artisans to be able to execute their work. Furthermore, they don't also have to bend down or bend over so much forward for their work to be visible. This technique has been around since the hamlet of Pagerjurang has been around since the beginning. This is at a time there was a folklore where Sunan Padang Arang, who is a person who brings Islam to a place, came to Bayat, the tax-free land. During worship at nighttime, he was walking around in the hamlet, and he felt that somebody was calling him or insulting him in the middle of the night with the process of clapping hands. So he tried following the sound to a house, and he found an old woman in the house who was kneading some kind of clay to make a pottery. So this man bringing Islam, Sunan Padang Arang, asked her, "How come you're doing this at this time? Shouldn't you be praying? This is the right time to be praying." So the woman replied, "I work from sunrise to sunset. I work from the time the moon appears and when it disappears. And we never feel that there is enough time to keep continuing our work." And from this folklore, the saying emerged: don't underestimate the people of the Bayat land, because we feel that artisans can be prosperous if they work seriously and if they work with strong faith. Now, our next slide is about the story of Professor Chitaro Kawasaki from Kyoto Seika University in Japan. He met us in 1990 in Pagerjurang when he was here in preparation for the Shigaraki Open Firing Festival between March to April in 1991. And during this festival, the participants are from all over the world. From Indonesia, there were 7 representatives, 2 from Klaten, Purwakarta, 2 from Kasongan, Bantul, 2 from Pagerjurang, and we were asked to prepare our tools and also one from Jepara. Because Professor Kawasaki saw our work and our technique, he came again, Professor Kawasaki from Japan, in 1995, and to prepare a program called Safe Our Culture, the culture of the tilted spinning wheel. Since 1997, he lived in Pagerjurang, and in 2004, with the collaboration with the Indonesian government and the Japanese government, he established the laboratory for the Pagerjurang tilted pottery wheel. And then in 2008 and 2009, along with the Qatar Foundation, he also helped with the establishment of the vocational school Reach Out to Asia, established in Bayat in the same sub-district of Pagerjurang. And this is a vocational school with pottery as one of its specializations. So now the vocational school has developed with other specializations in not only in textiles and not only in mechanics, but in other fields that are of use in the modern day, so that the children or the young can also enter this vocational school, and other specializations are on multimedia design. These are different designs that were developed with the tilted pottery design. Professor Kawasaki had hoped that using the high firing temperatures, that we could also reach and penetrate new market segments by improving the quality and aesthetics. But the basis has been the products from the tilted pottery wheel. Professor Chitaro Kawasaki left Indonesia in 2014, 30 October 2014. Conditions of the laboratory I would like to share with you is a cause for concern. From the building, the furnace, and the tools, we can say are no longer working and not suitable for use. Maybe there are many reasons for this. It was established maybe not really a laboratory, but a production house. But if you see the stoves are so big, and these are more for the concept for production, not really for laboratory and research and development, and not really for the works from the tilted pottery wheel. Also, maybe in the past, the transfer of knowledge and skills was not right or sufficient. And also, maybe the appreciation of the Pagerjurang residents and their desire to receive such new technology was not there. And their soul, as they say, could not grasp this new technology. And therefore, they eventually went back to their old technique that they had been doing for a long time. The lab was last used by Endang Lestari, Sob Mahamart from Thailand, and Miss Christina Rutar from Slovenia in the year 2015. What is of major concern to me is will be the future of our technique of the tilted pottery style. So in 2010, I tried to combine the culture of batik and the culture of ceramics and pottery to develop a new kind of artwork, and to maybe penetrate a new market segment with a higher value. So from 2010 to 2015, we used paint, and in 2015, we worked with the Jogja State Veterinary School Faculty of Social Science, and we were able to obtain a high firing test furnace And with our own independence and self-reliance, we were able, and without the bureaucracy, we were able to carry out our own independent training and research development and testing. We wanted to improve the application of batik and wax on our ceramics. And we tried to carve the Bayat character and also batik on our products to arrive at what we feel are more superior products to be shared with the world. So now we have products which are characteristic of our own village here. It is our hope that our products will be primary and well sought out products in the future, is to save the artisan himself or herself in a physical way, and also to save their financial condition. So this is what we are doing. We are trying to make sure our artisans are strong and physically able. So they have to sit properly with a proper posture, like they're sitting in an office. And there's not much change in their hips and their back. Because when you start reaching 40 to 50, when they're focused intensively on this technique, then there is a change in your hips, your waist, and your back. And this is very obvious and evidence with different women that are using this technique. We need to apply appropriate technology with the sake of this, with this this tilted wheel, but to raise it a bit, like we are like as if we were in an office, to raise the wheel. And we're using the traditional tilted pottery wheels, also for the sake of tourism. And if artisans are using the more modern wheel, but when there is a festival, they come back to the traditional tilted pottery wheel. The second point is about saving or rescuing the financial condition of the artisans. We have a program called Seger Seni Geraba, or pottery art, for the Buger, which is Bukit Pagerjurang, or the hill of Pagerjurang, a village tourism program. And we believe this is the solution. So in the hills around us, we plan to develop a concept of tourism called eco-edu-cultural tourism, where all of our souvenirs have elements of pottery and local things. And we'll start taking selfies and looking for view spots and building a earthenware pottery tower. We have plans for empowerment that we're dividing into 3 parts. One is for the existing cultural actors. Implementation are eco-educultural tourism. The guests will be coming, tourists will be coming to see our unique tilted pottery wheel directly. And with our guides and our local artisans, they will be able to defend our artworks and the proper value that the products have. For the second, the empowerment process is for the younger generation. We have a plan to establish a youth center in the different sub-villages with the youth groups in these sub-villages or RW. And we will try to share from the laboratory some of our wisdom and tools and materials, complete sets to share with them, with the younger generation, with each of the sub-villages or RW of the 6 sub-villages. But if we have shared this wisdom, these tools and these materials with them, we will ask for their commitment and agreement that if they do not want to use these tools and do not want to receive this support, then at the level of the sub-village, then this assistance will be withdrawn and brought back to the laboratory. And the last empowerment program is for the young children so that they themselves will possess and really feel this culture within them. Our plan is to establish a group for children that we call Kancil Berbudaya, or Kancil is a mouse deer. So it's because of the children are also small, like a mouse deer, but it's a community of children who will love the environment and their culture, especially the pottery world, considering that the pottery industry is also related to the environment, and we need to instill a balance between nature and our work. So it is our hope that in Pagerjurang, we will be developing also a culture learning studio, 10 to 20. We hope to also have in this learning studio 10 to 20 different pottery wheels to teach the next generation from the start, from when they're very small. And when they become skilled enough, we hope to have an annual festival. And this is the festival of the tilted pottery wheel in Pagerjurang. And the actors will be our own children from our village. This is my presentation. I hope that it is of use and benefits those who have been hearing my presentation up to now. And this is our presentation about saving our tradition of the tilted pottery wheel. Good afternoon. Thank you.
And start to have questions to either Mas Bregas or Pak Suharno. Is there anyone you can raise your hand? Okay. Hello, Simran.
Yes.
Is it right to say your
yes,
name, Simran?
Correct.
Okay. Good.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi. I wanted to thank Pak Suharno and Pak Bregas, both of them, for a very interesting presentation. So I did type my question in the chat, and my question was to Pak Bregas. Yeah. I want to know, do you teach your skills and about the sgraffito technique to local schools as well, so they are aware about it?
Yes, I do have some question or some request to do the same techniques on local schools, and actually mostly are private schools. So, but some other state school already start to do some approach to me, and looking at the possibility to do a similar like extracurricular or something like that at their school. And I always open for that because it is a good opportunity to introduce something new for the kids.
Yes, and I think it's important for the local schools to be aware of our local culture and local heritage, considering it comes from your father's time as well.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you so much, Pa. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Miss Simran. So, is there anyone who wanted to ask a question, either to Pak Suharno or Mas Bregas? You can do a live. You can put on your videos and then maybe raise your hand.
The products that you are making, according to you, Pak Harno, who is promoting and preserving this culture. Is there a difference in the income you are getting from the two different kinds of ceramics? From our tilted slanted pottery wheel, it's a bit less, but it can be faster.
About how come the kids actually could be on the classroom. So so based on that experience, the teacher start to develop different techniques on how to get the kids focus on what they're doing on other different studies, not just the pottery.
Okay, yeah, I think also from my perspective, because I'm also a pottery teacher, that is also going to help a lot of kids who have difficulties in
Yes,
focusing
exactly.
themselves, right?
Yes.
Balik lagi ke Pak Harno mungkin. Oh, ditanya lagi. If there's anyone who has a question, you can ask a question in the chat box, or you can live a question by turn off your video and then maybe raise your hand. Does anyone have a question? Okay. Genevieve Dugan, is that right?
Okay. Good morning or good afternoon to you all. Thank you very much. Very interesting presentation on both sides. As a very simple question of somebody who knows nothing about ceramic. If I look at a piece of ceramic, can I see if it was made on a horizontal wheel or on a tilted wheel? That is one part of my question. On the second one, you said how all this technique might have been in Indonesia, so starting with Islam, coming of Islam. But is it a typical Indonesian technique, or is it also done in other countries in the past, or have archaeologists found something similar in other countries? This, of course, depends if you can see if it is made on a horizontal wheel or tilted wheel. So my questions are in the mixed both. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Keunggulan dari teknik putar miring adalah dia lebih cepat, ya, lebih cepat, lebih tipis.
Thinner. When we are speaking of artifacts, we have not found any. We have been trying to find some, also in different museums, but we haven't found any. So we base our history from the folklore that we had from this Sunan Panandaran in the Majapahit time in the 16th century. It is difficult for us to discover other artifacts, and it's also difficult for us to find literature in relation to this culture. I have found that in other places that there might be something similar like this in Digoria. Also as the tilted slanted wheel, but a lot of different things, elements from our own.
About the techniques of the slanted wheel, once I tried this technique with the table that Paharno created for Meet the Makers many years ago. And it's, for me, it is very, very challenging because the table are designed for ladies, actually, who usually wears like kain sarung or something like that while doing the putar miring. And for those who are not that flexible in the slanted wheel, it might be very, very challenging. And I found that very, very challenging. But yes, in terms of the result, because of the angle, of the viewing angle to the pottery piece that you do, you are able to make a very, very thin piece of ceramics. And in terms of history, I do read some writings that the same techniques are also found in Bali, somewhere around Bali, but now it's almost like vanished. There's no more artisans in Bali doing the pottery with the same techniques. And the history of ceramics in Indonesia are very, very long, and I do have a lot of communication with the Indonesian Archaeological Survey here in Indonesia, and the research for Indonesian history of ceramics are still going until now, and sometimes they still found new discoveries of ancient kilns, and mostly on the northern side of Java. So probably that could be another series of webinars working with the archaeological parts of ceramics in Indonesia. We'll see.
Okay.
Very much, Bregas and Suharno.
Thank you, Ibu Genevieve.
Okay, so if I'm going to invite again if anyone who wanted to have questions with Pak Harno or with Mas Bregas. And I'm going to, oh, we have a question in chat box from Eric de Haas. I'm sorry if I said it wrong. He asked to Mas Bregas, where can we obtain sgraffito ceramics?
Sorry, what? Can you be more specific about the question? How we obtain?
Okay, Eric. Do you meant the technique or the products? Because as if the products, if you meant the Pekunden Pottery products, you can maybe visit Pekunden Pottery, or you can maybe, especially the blue batik products.
Ah, I see. Okay, yeah. So basically about this question, so basically I only have some outlets here in Jakarta, basically. Some of the galleries, but we do have some problems with the retail now during the pandemic. So I do have a lot of contacts asking me where can we buy them in short time and so on and so on. And so Meet the Makers already prepare a website that some of my work's also going to be on the website. And later on the session, I might be able to show you some of my latest works also on a different presentation. It's a small 12-page of products. And then, yeah, a lot of people some of my customers starts to come to my gallery, to my workshop, because a lot of my customers like to come here because here they can see the whole process. Start with a small tour to my studio, so they can see all the process of pottery making from A to Z, from clay processing all the way to see the finished product on the galleries.
Okay. Thank you, Mas Bregas. Kita akan kembali bertanya ke Pak Harno. Pak Harno, kan dengan banyaknya budaya dari Indonesia yang hilang karena tidak ada pendataan dan juga tidak ada penerusnya. Nih Pak, sebenarnya mungkin apa yang paling penting nih Pak untuk generasi muda supaya budaya ini tuh tetap ada di mereka dan ada terus sampai ke cucu dan cicitnya mereka nanti.
Ya, terima kasih Mas Yugie. Jadi,
for me, the most important is that cultural practitioners, that they have to have the will and the spirit to continue, and also materials. Then we will have difficulty in executing and implementing this skill. But what is important for us now also is the partnership that we have with the Department of Education, with the different NGOs, and developing and fostering this relationship. Only with these small centers of culture, which we call the Sanggar, we can continue our culture that will be possessed and cared for by our children.
So I will write down the address on the chat, but later probably the staff here at Meet the Makers could help you getting our position, where my gallery is, where exactly Pak Harno or Desa Pagerjurang is. So hopefully we will be able to send you all of the details on your emails.
Okay, so before we are going to close the webinar, are we still, do you have time to show the videos of sgraffito techniques?
Minutes video, so a lot of people ask me about how to do a simple pattern on a piece of plate. So in this 5 minutes video, I will show you the whole process to do a simple design on a piece of serving plate. So while we're watching the movie, I will tell you about the details of the video. So this is a plate that are basically a commission work ordered by one of my customer, a serving plate for a co-working space here in Jakarta. So this space belongs to DKI Jakarta, belongs to the government, but are run by private sector. So this private sector approached me to do a custom design plates for their set of cups and plates. So here I'm drawing a guideline for the slip or the engobe. So the clay mixed with minerals that will produce different colors. So I do the guidelines with pencil, and then I will apply the engobe, normally somewhere around 3 to 4 layers, just to make sure that the surface are all covered with the slip or the engobe. So I'm a very, very detailed person in work. So I like to do things slowly and
Saya jelaskan proses ini, saya orang yang sangat detail.
The design is going to be a mixture between logo, custom design logo, and then a custom design pattern and part of my design or my pattern. So here I'm going to clean off the excess of the engobe. So it creates a clean rectangular shape part to be put the design on. So the design is going to be a geometrical pattern. So I'm going to use the ruler here to do the guidelines, the straight lines. So this is a mix of free hand drawn pattern, free hand drawn logo, and a very, very square patterns. So this is, so when I use the sharp tool, it starts to carve out the slip or the engobe. So that means the line is going to be a part of the design. But if the line is not part of the design, I'm going to use a pencil. So the pencil mark will burn during the firing. So I'm start to do the hand-drawn, free hand-drawn kawung design, which is freehand, no guidelines. So after this, I'm going to carve out the design with wider tools. So I use 2 different type of tools here, the sharper tools to draw a fine line, and then a wider tool to carve out a bigger part of the design. The main video is basically very, very good video. There is no no lags. So probably we have internet connection thing. So probably you will be experiencing some lags on the video. Here I will start to do the design of the logos. The logo called, the name of the company is Mula. So it's a writing M-U-L-A. So it's all hand-drawn with my tools. And then this is the custom design logo because it's belong to the government of DKI Jakarta. So part of their trademarks are the ondel-ondel or the clown. So this is the design of the clown, individually hand-drawn. So after that, I'm going to redo the lines, the thin lines, with a different tool to thicken the lines. So here, I'm using 3 different tools to do a single piece of ceramic, custom design ceramics. So that's it. 5 minutes of how long does it take to do a plate with a simple design like this. Thank you. Terima kasih.
We hope that what we are doing and what we have shared benefits everyone, especially those who are promoting the Javanese culture, and especially those that are helping us with our tilted pottery wheel. Let's hope that we can meet someday, gather to save the culture that we have.
Okay, now we are going to Gerda.
Yeah, please allow me as well, on behalf of the Indonesian Heritage Society, express our deep condolences on the passing away of Ibu Jovita Meta. She has left a valuable cultural legacy and we all will miss her. And it was lovely to meet her at the Meet the Makers event 3 weeks ago. Reflecting today's event, I would like to thank, first of all, our fabulous organizers from Meet the Makers, especially Chrissy, for being a wonderful host and making it possible that we could get together for another round of wonderful presentations. If we were in a hall now, I know there would be enthusiastic applause also for your simultaneous translation. Everything is always prepared in a wonderful detail and carried out in a very professional way. Thank you very much for your great participation also in these times of social distance. Further, of course, I would like to express our gratitude to today's speakers for this unusual and very interesting journey. Thank you, Pak Bregas, for sharing your amazing work, which holds so strong roots in the traditional Central Javanese culture, but speaks very much to us in its contemporary appearance. I'm glad to know that you are not too far from Jakarta, where many of us based. And thank you very much, Pak Suharno, for bringing your unique ceramic art all the way from Central Java to us. And I think from now on, when we think of the beauty and diversity of Central Java, it is lovely to add in our mind another gem of art and culture. And last but not least, thank you very much to our knowledgeable and enthusiastic moderator for being the bridge in these lessons divided between two unique Javanese ceramic techniques. I had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it too. Hope to see you next Thursday.